Hello Bookish friends, welcome to my September wrap-up. In this video I will talk about the 5 books that I finished and 1 book that I DNF'd in the first half of September. Like I did in my previous wrap-up videos, I will insert the clips that I've recorded very soon after I finish those works. Today is the 1st of September and I finished the audiobook that I was listening for Series September for the middle grade square. The 8th book in Paddington series, Paddington Goes to Town by Michael Bond. I really liked the Goodreads synopsis of this book. The irresistible Paddington bear, who was found on Paddington Station, returns in this novel. Paddington doesn't intentionally turn his friend's wedding into an uproar by getting the wedding ring stuck on his paw, nor does he mean Mr. Curry to slip on his marmalade sandwich in the middle of an important gold shot. But these sort of things just happen to a bear like Paddington. I think the last sentence really covers the theme of the Paddington Bear short story collections. I've said many times that listening to this series really puts a smile on my face, and this was no exception. I really enjoyed especially the first story about the wedding ring, and also a section in the hospital really made me laugh as well. So it was a really fun start to the month. And I gave Paddington Goes to Town by Michael Bond a 7 out of 10. Today is the 6th of September and I finished the audiobook that I was listening for 5 days. And I was body reading this book with Amy at Solveig, which is another book in Lovett's Stakes series, Wanted, Undead or Alive. In this book we follow a character, Phineas, whom we have been seeing as a side character from the very early books. I think it was in the second book that we were introduced to him. And in these books, he has been sort of like a comic relief. However, in this book, we follow his love story with a werewolf woman, another side character that we were introduced about 4 books ago, Brinley. In the beginning of the book, although they are attracted to each other, they both think that a relationship with each other would not work. But when they have to go to hunt a vampire queen and her cult, together they became close and learned that they had more common characteristics than they initially thought. I was very pleasantly surprised by how mature the character of Phineas was. Although I really liked him as a side character who was a comic relief, I was not sure about the emotional deepness of the couple. But I really liked the interaction of the couple and how they dealt with the issues from their past together. And the backstory of a werewolf pack was quite interesting and also quite novel. And I was especially invested in the last battle scene, which happens in every book in the series. But this one, I think, was the best for me. Overall, it was a very good installment in the series. And I gave Wanted, Undead or Alive by Kerrelyn Sparks an 8 out of 10. Today is the 7th of September and I finished the book that I was reading for a month actually, which was Goodbye Piccadilly, Farewell Leicester Square by Arthur Bern. I read this book for my Books of Alfred Hitchcock project. After the release of the movie, like the edition that I read, the book was also titled Frenzy in some editions. In this book, our protagonist is a retired war hero. After seeing the suicide of one of his army friends from the war, he decides to talk to his ex-wife, who also served in the military during the wartime. After quite a friendly encounter, he spends the night with a woman, but the next day he sees in the newspapers that his ex-wife was brutally murdered, and based on the descriptions, he seems to be the main suspect. And with his new girlfriend, another one of his ex-army pals, and his wife, our hero tries to find out who the real murderer is, while his identity is discovered and is also wanted by the police. The book has one of Alfred Hitchcock's favorite themes, which is the wronged man. To be honest, although I watched the movie, I don't really remember many details about the movie. I found this book to be very mediocre. Although I wasn't really bored while reading it, the fact that I decided to finish many other books before this one really showed that I was not also very much interested in what is really happening. What was kind of interesting, especially after the second half, the tempo was increased as well. However, I found the characters two-dimensional and really didn't care about what really happens to any of them. And I was not a fan of the author's writing style as well. So I will most probably never read a book from this author. Because of the quite interesting plot, I gave Goodbye Piccadilly, Farewell Leicester Square by Arthur Bern a 6 out of 10. Today is the 9th of September and I finished the book that I was reading for Agatha for Alice, which is a new project that is started by Emily at Novels. Emily actually kindly asked me to do a list of the Agatha Christie books that she had and did not read, so that we would read either that book from the list or another Agatha Christie book in memory of Alice at Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, who unfortunately passed away this June. And the book that I finished was Murder is Easy, also a book that I was reading for Series September. In this book we follow Luke, a retired police officer who has been working in the colonies. One day comes along a old lady in a train who says that she will go to Scotland Yard because she has a hunch that somebody in her hometown has murdered 4 people, and Dr. Humblebee is the very likely person that the serial killer will kill. First, he does not believe her, but when he reads from the papers that this old lady, Miss Pinkerton, has been a victim of hit and run before she could go to Scotland Yard, and the next day he reads that Dr. Humblebee has been killed. And Luke decides to go to that town to investigate these 5 deaths, which all seems like freak accidents. First of all, I want to say that although I read this book for Series September and is considered a book belonging to Inspector Battle series, I think this book is actually a standalone because Inspector Battle is featured in the last 2 chapters of the book. But I'm very glad that I read this book. Although the first half of the book was kind of confusing because of having so many deaths and so many suspects, which made it a bit difficult to understand the dynamics in the small towns. I found the second half of the book really good, and some sections were even kind of like a light thriller, which is not something that is frequent in Agatha Christie books. Although at some point I kind of guessed the plot twist at the end. I thought it was handled quite well, especially for readers who does not read as much mystery books as I do. Overall, I gave Murder is Easy by Agatha Christie an 8 out of 10. Today is actually the 17th of September because I was away at holiday in Germany. I could talk about the book that I DNF'd and the book that I finished up until the 15th of September now. The book that I DNF'd was a book that I chose for my TPR wet cup, which was Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy by John le Carre. This book tells the story of a retired secret agent who's now faced with another crisis, which may require him to join a secret service operation again in order to find the leak in the CIA service agency. I have to say I was very disappointed by this book. I had previously watched some adaptation of John le Carre books, and I found them to be quite delightful. I had also watched the adaptation of this book and found it to be very exciting, and that was the reason that I put this book on my TBR. This book was a part of a series. However, I had heard that it could be read as a standalone. That was the route that I took. I'm not sure that I would have felt this much confused about the characters if I had read the previous books in that series. However, it does not change the fact that most of the characters in this book felt very two-dimensional. Also, I felt like I really had to know every political detail that was happening at that time, which does not make a great reading experience when you're reading the book many years later. So I decided to keep on just watching the adaptations of this author's book, and DNF'd Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy by John le Carre, I think on the 13th of September. The book that I finished on the 15th of September was the book that I was reading for my real life book club, which is Sevgili Arsız Ölüm by Latife Tekin. Because this book was also translated to English, I will make a dedicated Turkish short video about this book. In this book, we follow the life of a family with 5 children, first living in a very traditional rural Turkish village, and then continuing to live in a big city. We start from the time that this couple married until the death of the matriarch. It is really hard for me to describe the plot of this book because it consists of anecdotes from the couples and the children's lives. But what is most significant about these anecdotes is that their lives were full of and somewhat dictated by some ancient traditions and superstitions. Although I found the characters and the plot to be a bit meh, I thought the writing style of this author was awesome. And the audiobook narration of one of the best theater actors in Turkey also helped me to enjoy this book a little bit more. So I gave Sevgili Arsız Ölüm by Latife Tekin a 7 out of 10. So those were the 5 books that I finished and one book that I DNF'd in the first half of September. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose goodbye. Goodbye means güle güle in Turkish, and güle güle are our Turkish words of the day. Have a good day.